Coming at you live.
2 minutes late.
Nuh-uh.
Nuh-uh.
This computer says 3 minutes early.
Yeah, well, what's it hitched up to?
Nothing. But it should have a dang good enough clock in it, you would
Obviously
think, you know?
it doesn't.
I know, it's amazing. Hey, everybody. It's the Jimmy Doane Show. We're back. We're back before the end of the year. Special edition here. Heavy on science, maybe. We'll see. Anyway, we do this live twice a week, usually 4 o'clock New York time, Sunday and Wednesday, right here on YouTube. You can comment. We'll get your comments. Maybe not right away. Sometimes I'll check back through the show. Anyway, you can find us around the web in video format on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, Gab, and Parler. Places like that. You can find us in audio format at Libsyn, Apple, Amazon, Google, SoundCloud, Spotify. Lots of places. So join up, share, click, like, hit the bell, that kind of stuff. It helps us out. We appreciate it. Trying to get it rolling here. And I am in the studio. Today is the 30th day. And we are in Nashville. Uh-oh, something happened to me here. There we go. Nashville.
Okay.
Welcome to Nashville.
Is that where the blow up is out
Yeah, and it's Commerce Street, interestingly.
there? Yeah.
And there's a bar called Dick's over here. Right there.
Interestingly enough, the girlfriend warned
Yeah,
a year and a half ago.
I saw
Said
that.
he's building bombs in his RV. Told the FBI.
Meh.
Yeah, well, they came out.
Yeah.
And apparently they, peeked in.
Yeah.
And they couldn't see anything, and then left. And she said, "But he's building bombs." And it was pretty obvious that there was something bad wrong someplace. And they said, "Meh."
Yeah, look, I have zero faith in law enforcement. I tell people all the time, don't call them. You'll get arrested. The chances of you getting arrested are as good as the perpetrator. It's that bad. It's horrible out there, and it's unfortunately we need to roll back the whole system a bit and clear it out some. And this kind of stuff. They probably get lots of tips that are bogus.
Well, that's what they said. Is we didn't have, but I'm thinking. This was a pretty legitimate tip. I mean, you gotta...
That is. In fact, there are different levels of legitimacy of the tips.
Right.
And when the person identifies themselves, that adds to the legitimacy.
Well, not only that, I know this person personally.
And another
he
one.
lived with me.
That's another one. That's right. Now, obviously what she should have done
seen with my own eyes.
Yeah, well, take a damn picture or bring a piece back or something. I mean, if she really thought there was a problem, she could have followed up on it.
So it's her fault.
No. I told you, I'm blaming law enforcement. I'm just saying, if she was really worried about it, telling the cops, that's nothing.
Well, it was the FBI, and you would expect them to do it.
Be a little bit more, yeah.
You think,
You
the
would.
cops, you're saying. Yeah, you never call 911, never. No, there's a guy that, there's a couple of YouTube videos on that, and the rule is you never talk to the cops, ever. And
avoid them like the plague, man. I mean, telling you, it's unfortunate. It sucks, but I wrote a whole freaking book about it here, which it tells you exactly how to deal with the police, what to do in every situation, how to get out of it without with the least amount of trouble. So picked it up on Amazon.
Yeah, there you go. All right,
she's lucky she didn't get arrested.
Well, isn't that the truth? Except it was the FBI. They can haul you, but they have to charge you with some federal thing.
That would be more.
Yeah, that's
still. The
SBR are a little bit more. If you give them the finger, they're going to wave it off. But you give the local cops the finger, they're going to haul you in for something. So. Okay. Anyway, Wednesday, December 30th. Got one more day to go, and then we hop into 2021.
Downhill from there.
Downhill. Yeah. Well, the question is, can 2021 be any worse?
Don't ask that question. Okay. Jesus.
But I will say this much.
That's what he said about 2019.
Continuing the rise of Bitcoin. Is now, earlier today was at 28,000 and change, which means one Bitcoin, and I've said this before, is 15 Krugerrands. Now, I don't know about you, but I'll tell you right now, 15 Krugerrands.
Yeah, well, you said you'd trade for 10 2 weeks ago.
I know,
so-
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I mean, so I wouldn't have the Bitcoin today.
Right.
But for those of you people who still have a Bitcoin,
Get out.
get out.
Well, and you saw what happened to XRP.
no, what was that one?
The Exchange Commission, the authorities, the federal authority, the money guys are going after XRP.
What's XRP?
XRP is one of the cryptocurrencies, one of the biggest ones.
Oh, is that right?
One of the highest market caps. It's like
Okay.
top 5 in terms of market cap.
Okay.
And there you can get an XRP for under $1. It's like 20 cents a coin right now.
Okay.
It started off at like $1, and it's gone up to like $3 and down to 18 cents or something. But it was kind of a fun one. The nickname is Ripple for whatever reason.
Well, now Ripple wasn't. No. Okay, Ripple. Right.
Right.
Okay.
That's XRP, and so what happened is the SEC, I think, is suing Ripple,
Right.
because they're claiming that the entire coin and all of its underpinnings, that is the management that brought it to market and all this kind of stuff, that they created a security that needs to be regulated, and it's in violation of the securities regulations. And as nebulous as those laws are, they probably have a case. So, I mean,
Well, they can always have a case. They're
what
the
I mean.
guys with the guns.
That's what I'm talking about.
The guys with the guns can say anything.
So they're forcing Coinbase to delist XRP from its exchange base.
Really?
Yeah, and so
Okay.
I mean it's gonna crush it. And in fact, it has crushed it. It's down 2/3 of its value in the last few weeks.
Well, what is Coinbase? The Coinbase base shouldn't care that much.
Well, no, they've got a bunch of properties at this
Yeah,
point,
right.
and so they're doing fine. But they also were the subject of a big hit piece this week from the New York Times about their racist hiring practices.
Oh, God.
And their anti-feminist or
Oh,
pro-boy or
Yeah,
whatever.
That's right. Okay.
They apparently jumped in front of the story and got the jump on the New York Times, though. So
So they sued. Of course, I remember when I first joined Rotary. It was men only.
oh my God.
Yeah, and they.
Oh my God.
And it ain't anymore. They in federal court they said, this is a men only club, and this is
It's
whatever
so
it was.
wrong.
And that was.
We want to be on your bowling league too.
Well, I tell you, that was 20-some years ago.
Right.
And
Yeah, just 20. I mean, that's the way I look at it.
yeah, right. I mean, seriously, it was. I can't remember exactly, but I think it was in. Yes, maybe no. It's 30 years ago now.
Okay.
Yeah, still. Recently, and they sued and won, and that was kind of interesting. And of course, I thought it was interesting when.
And they ruined it.
Well, no, actually, it turned out it's slightly different.
of
and
course.
everything.
Look, that's.
But what was interesting was the club that I was in broke off another club and said, we don't care what the Supreme Court says. Ours.
Oh yeah, no kidding.
Yeah, and they started another Rotary club, which finally actually had to end up taking ladies.
Yeah, well, sure, of course.
But I just thought it was interesting that that you have a men's only club, and that's anti-feminist. Which
Well, how about the concept of the club itself, where you have to be from a different profession?
Right.
So every person is from a different profession.
Right.
So you're excluding people right away.
Yeah.
Based on their profession.
Yeah, we already have a
It's
realtor.
so discriminatory.
Yeah, we already have a realtor in here.
That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you just don't like realtors.
Yeah, that's it. So anyway,
I every time I hear about restrictions on people's right to assemble, it just I cackle.
well, of course, it's built in. You have the right to assemble.
You did.
You did peacefully.
Yeah,
and
now.
there's nothing more peaceful than a Rotary club. I can tell you right now.
Oh yeah, you're plotting the destruction of the women culture in
That's
there.
it. That's right. Stupid. Okay, this is the other thing. So 15 Krugerrands for those of you. I just think that's amazing. I mean, that's
Well,
some real heft.
Now, my point when talking about the XRP thing is that if they're successful at going after XRP, who's next? And I've heard chatter about the people talking about that the Bitcoin bulls are trying to take out the dollar. Now, I realize it's ridiculous chatter, but the point is that you don't only need a little bit of ridiculous chatter to get the feds fired up, get them off of that bombing thing over in Nashville,
right?
Switched on to the currency thing,
right?
And boy, now we're talking real money here.
Yeah,
so,
that's right. That's right. Yeah, that's true. What is the next big thing? And I'm going to talk about that in a minute.
See,
but
I don't see how they're going to let. I've been waiting for a central bank to go after Bitcoin and the other cryptocurrencies because it won't take. As soon as they get a significant portion of the market share, that's it.
Yeah, but right now it's a nothing.
I know. Now they're at like 1% of something.
Even if it's that, yeah. I mean, it's yeah.
Well, maybe a little more, but still, even so, we'll see.
We'll see. That's right. The next big thing here, of course, is the $2,000.
Yes.
As we speak, they are debating this. I was just listening. I was watching Bernie. And he was on there saying that we need to put this $2,000. Now, apparently, what happened was they put a bill in. McConnell has blocked the bill that somebody wants to vote on, and the way he did it was to add some stuff to the bill.
Yeah, they put the repeal of Section 230 in.
Oh, is that what it was?
Yeah.
There was something else too that apparently was on CNBC this morning.
Well, I mean, obviously they're going back and forth. It's
right.
Well, no, now we'll attach the defense budget to it.
Right.
Stuff
and
like
so
that.
the whole thing was that Bernie said, all I want is an up or down vote on this one item. And of course McConnell says, well, we've got
that's all I want.
Yeah, that's all I want.
Look,
right. I did see where I think it was Munchin or somebody said they're planning on issuing the first direct checks this evening or tomorrow evening.
Yeah, in fact, it was last night.
Was it last night?
Yeah.
Supposed to be
the 600.
Look at your bank account. Well, what are they gonna shove over there? 600?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you get the 600 now, and then they're debating on the rest of it. But I can't believe I look forward to the next election, and I want to see how any Republican is going to campaign on the fact that they stood up to this $2,000 thing. For you. Taxpayer, I protected your debt. Now we spent $6 trillion last year, but we saved $60 billion by not giving you any money.
That's right.
Even though we shut down your business and it was for your own good. We gave all the money to the rich people.
Well, not only the rich people, we gave it to some other countries that aren't so rich. We gave it to poverty-stricken countries. That's where your money went, was to bring them up to.
Look, it helps them more than it would help you.
That's right.
So. And we gave it to the rich people so that it would eventually trickle down to the rest of you people whose businesses we just destroyed.
Yeah.
I don't know how that campaign is going to go, because I literally can't think of one thing that they can possibly say on the campaign trail in support of their defense.
Look, wait a minute. Give me a rest. Here, give it a break. I'm sorry. Here's the deal. Every week there's a new meme for the mainstream, they come out with something else that is the whatever it is of the day. Do you think sometime in the next 20-some months that they're not?
Everybody's going to remember this.
Yeah, right. No, not even close.
Not even close. Look, this one is pretty direct. It's gonna last for a while, and because it's for a week, everybody was thinking they were getting $2,000, and if that gets rug pulled, they're going to remember that. I think.
I don't think so.
2 years?
No. Here's the deal. They're going to either survive or they're going to die. Most people are all bent out of shape about the coronavirus. I've seen the letters or everything. There was a big, long crybaby piece from somebody out in California, and I'll talk about that in a minute here, where, her grandmother had died and she didn't have to, and the ventilator, blah, 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 blah. And I'm going like, weep, weep, weep.
Right.
Here's my violin. You're going to pass a law that affects 320 million people because your grandma died?
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah. That's right.
That's the way we do it.
So anyway, the McConnell blocks the Senate Democrats' initial attempt. Bernie, of course, he says he's going to keep everybody from going home.
Yeah,
and that's one of the big deals. Is they said that the Bernie thing is supposed to engulf the Senate for the rest of the week, which comes over the first. When's
New
the
Year's is
New Year's is the Thursday night.
Yeah.
New Year's Eve.
Well, yeah,
and then so the first is that's a vacation day.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, is everybody going to go home if you're going to?
Well, they sure blew it off the Christmas thing.
Yeah, they did. But I mean, are they going? Is Nancy going to go back home, California, on her military jet or what? I don't know.
Why not? I mean, like you said, at this point, the wielding of the power is so blatant and
Well, what they're thinking is they need 60 votes apparently for this particular bill.
okay.
This is not just a simple majority, and so they're figuring they're going to have to. That's what I heard. That's what Bernie was saying.
Well, she's talking about
He's talking about the addition to make
Okay.
the 2,000.
okay.
And apparently the 600 is done.
Yeah.
Okay, so what he's talking about is the 2,000, and that's another separate thing that McConnell has tacked on some stuff on, Bernie wants to keep the Senate in session to vote on this one way or the other, filibuster, who knows what, and they've had a couple of Republicans that said they're willing to stand up for it. And I'll tell you, you did notice, of course, that the two Republicans who were up for election
Georgia, yeah.
in Georgia on the 6th,
Hell yeah.
we're for 2,000 for my people.
Hell yeah, that's it.
So
well, why not? It's hard for me to believe that even the Republicans would stand up against this particular thing. This seems to be a no-brainer. This seems to be such an easy one, such an easy give me. What do you get out of saying no to that?
Okay,
what do you get out of saying no to that?
Principle.
No, that's come on. Who are we talking about here?
Principle.
No, we're talking about people who are.
We're talking about the Rand Paul senators.
Yeah, but there's only like a half a dozen of them.
Okay.
But the other 43 of them or whatever have absolutely given away the farm in terms of money this year.
No, you're right about that.
How do you go now and say, well, you know what? I'm a fiscal concern. I only voted for the $6 trillion out of necessity, but I saved that $60 billion.
Yeah.
I mean, it just doesn't make any.
Again, when you realize in the Senate, remember now,
600 billion.
there's only about a dozen senators that are going to be up for re-election 2 years from now. Mm-hmm. The rest of them have either 4 years or 6 years.
Yeah, well, no, I listen. I accept your premise that over time the voters will forget.
I'm telling you, short memories.
But it just seems like a no-win situation. I mean, any game theorist talking to anybody in Congress would, to pretend that you have some fiscal responsibility.
Well, that's true. That's true about that. I mean,
and it's just laughable.
I mean, yeah, of course, as you say, even if you're in the Senate, for instance, and of course, you have to understand about the House people who are up for re-election in fewer than 2 years. They are going to have to go back and face the music. The ones that voted against whatever they voted against, I don't know, the bill that was sent to the Senate, the Republicans that didn't want
earlier in the year.
But yeah, exactly, the one. But the deal is that the Republicans in the Senate can go back, when they take their next vacation and say, and what's wrong with them saying, I voted to give you 2,000?
That's what I'm saying, and I don't see how you get. There's literally not a positive word you can say about the fact that you saved them the 1,400, because it's at the people's expense you're talking to.
Yeah.
I mean, I saved you $1,400. Well, when I say what I mean is.
Yeah, what I mean is.
I mean, how do you explain that? You can't. So you can't even bring it up. And that's why I don't understand how, what value somebody got out of that. I don't understand at all whose motivation. Obviously, it just belies the
well, we'll have to find out. I noticed
swamp.
that Marco apparently is one that's against it.
Okay.
That's our local senator.
Okay.
Yeah,
Rick Scott voted against it.
right. So our two senators voted against it, I think.
Yeah, I didn't know about Marco.
I think so. I could be wrong. Okay, moving on to COVID.
Okay.
I'm sorry, this is the big news.
Yeah.
It's huge.
Yeah.
The U.S. detects its first case of the COVID-19 variant as Biden offers a gloomy outlook. So Biden is now saying, you're still going to die. That's right. The first known case of a highly infectious coronavirus. President Joe Biden warned it could take years for most Americans to be vaccinated against COVID-19. But the problem is we've got this new one, highly transmissible, not as, and no more deadly than the one we have now. He says Biden's prediction of a grim winter appeared to be lowering public expectations, and he wants to significantly increase the spending to expedite vaccine distribution and expand COVID testing and to reopen shuttered schools. The Colorado governor, Jared Polis, whatever, said his state has discovered the nation's first known case of the highly infectious coronavirus B17 or B117 or whatever. So I guess we're going to be now, instead of COVID-19, we're going to be at B117.
Okay.
And that's going to be the new one. Originally documented in the UK, and they said it's no more severe, which means, of course, I guess, more ventilators, more whatever it is. You're going to get the shot. Not going to protect you against it. You're doomed. More masks, more everything.
I don't know. I still feel like we are in the news twilight zone right now. Before the election is resolved, I don't believe anything that the media prints. I mean, nothing.
I'm not saying to believe this. I'm just telling you what the media are saying.
Yeah, no, I know. I mean, but I'm looking at a chart here. This is U.S. Midwest states, cases 7 days per 100,000. And you can see that back in November, right around Thanksgiving, a whole bunch of states, these 7 states at least, reached their peak and have been going down since then. So I don't know what they're doing. I mean, obviously California has still been going up. I put up our other, I updated our other slideshow a little bit, although in this one right here, you can't really see. I've got the final day over here. But the bottom line is that these numbers continue to increase for New York, Texas. California stays about the same, drops a little. Florida up a little, New Jersey up a little. So these 5 states.
Well, what's interesting, of course, is that New York and California have instituted draconian lockdowns.
Right, and Florida not so much.
Not so much.
But we're in the mix with that group that is having some kind of problems. Obviously, the patterns aren't exactly clear at this point yet.
Well,
still, now one thing I will say, Sweden up over 8,500 deaths at this point. Now, we reported for months that they were under 6,000.
Right.
It looked like it was petering out.
Yeah.
If you did the calculation on the potential for herd immunity being 60%, then it looks like they should have stopped getting cases at about 6,000 deaths. Okay, well, now they're up over 8,500. So, if you were to put Sweden's population and just round it off to 10 million, if they get to 10,000, that's 0.1% of the whole population.
Okay.
So the death rate for this thing overall was only supposed to be 0.1.
Okay.
So if that's the case, that means everybody in Sweden has had it at this point. Okay. But that can't be exactly correct for a couple of reasons. Number one, we can look down at Belgium. With basically the same population, they're up to almost 20,000 cases at this point. So they're at 0.2%.
You mean deaths? Deaths,
right, deaths. 0.2% of their entire population has died in Belgium, according to the news from this. So I mean, if the death rate is only 0.1%, I mean, they should already be at herd immunity, and they're not.
Well, I could tell you the problem there.
What?
Brussels sprouts. From Brussels. That's the thing. They're contaminated.
It could be.
Yeah.
Okay, I should have thought of that.
Yeah.
So my only, that obviously implies if the U.S. were to lose 0.2% of its population, we would reach 700,000. If it gets as bad as Belgium. Belgium's the hardest hit of all the countries, with maybe one exception. But anyway, that's that's what's going on now. Lockdowns in Sweden, they're doing them, but they're voluntary, so they're not exactly lockdowns.
Yeah.
And they're still letting people make up their own mind. It's almost like they trust their population to weigh.
Well, the population in Sweden, of course, especially when I was there 30, 40 years ago, is very homogeneous. Even though they are.
Well, apparently a lot of their deaths are in the immigrants.
That's what I'm saying. It's not homogeneous anymore. One of the things you have to realize is, especially in southern Sweden, down near Malmo, which speaks a funny language anyway, that's where a lot of the most of the immigrants are in the southern tenth of Sweden, right across from Denmark,
Copenhagen or something.
Yeah.
Well, and apparently that community was hard hit. Now you can imagine, because obviously they probably don't live as distant as the rest of the Swedes.
No, and it's interesting because Denmark, of course, has kind of put up a little bridge there, saying, "Wait, just a minute, not so fast coming over here."
Oh yeah,
from Malmo. Yeah, they used, when I was there, you had to take a ferry boat across.
Oh, okay.
And you could put your car on it and everything, but no, they built a bridge.
You had to call the Viking ship.
Boy, isn't that the truth? Yeah. You know, I had to wear a Norse helmet.
Yeah,
that's right.
Well, Potholer, I will say one more thing on the COVID thing. Potholer, this guy I follow on YouTube, he's a really excellent researcher, and he did an in-depth dive about a whole bunch of different COVID studies. And the only thing I would caution you against is he believes all the studies also. I mean, if he sees a peer-reviewed study, he assumes that it's good science.
Good science, yeah.
And so, but he does go into it in depth if you want a nice broad look at.
Well, what does he say when the two of the studies contradict each other?
Well, he usually debunks one of them. I mean,
okay.
He's very
so he doesn't
good.
believe them all.
Well, no. What he does is he traces back the sources, you know, and he's like, okay, this is in such journal by these people, which is only partially reputable or something, or you know, he'll bring it forward to another journal or something. He'll cross-reference them and that kind of stuff, or he'll do a meta study. He'll review a meta study about the first study, things like that. I mean, it's very detailed, but you know.
Well, of course, this is one of the things that happened with the one of the first things that came out about the climate scares. You know, the climate is, and they said 95 scientists, 97% did all this stuff, and when you come to find out that there was nothing like that. I mean, they were looking at articles that had the word climate someplace in it,
and there was just a review of the abstract.
Right. Which was another review of another abstract. I mean, who knows?
Yeah, no, it was totally that was all Cook's website, and it was cooked up, is what it was. And you can go see. It's still on there. He's got a website called Real Climate Science, which is all bogus climate science.
Yeah, and
it's amazing, but it's very detailed. He goes into great detail debunking all of the real science.
It's amazing. I just think
it's 97% consensus. I mean, if that doesn't raise a gigantic red flag.
Well, you know, currently, of course, it's like 97% re-elected Saddam Hussein.
Oh well, yeah. How about 97% of the people did not believe Copernicus either. You know,
right?
I mean,
it was a lot more than 97%. That's right. There was like 3 people.
So
let's see. Was his the
Galileo.
one? Was he the one that published it after his death? There's a couple of people that waited until they said.
I think Copernicus went through the ringer, but I'm not sure. It's hard to remember now.
Somebody fact check that. Mm-hmm. You know, that's what Adams always says. He goes, well, somebody fact check this. Of course, he's watching people. You know, the comments.
He's got comments.
So anyway, here we are in California. This is the scare tactic du jour. Patients are dying like flies.
Right.
California nurse
Let me just stop you right there for a second. Whenever you hear an analogy like that, you know that's a flag. That should, if there's no number attached to it, that's a flag. I mean, just putting it out there. Go ahead.
It's like a war zone, she said.
Okay, another
analogy. It's like a war zone.
That's it.
Asking for help, and help's not coming, says Guyana Chukulga, a nurse on the video sharing platform, and she's a surgical intensive case.
Anyway.
Huh?
I said it was a good attempt at the name anyway. Keep going, you're good.
Chuklantsev.
Okay, go ahead.
Chuklantsev. And it's been viewed 1.3 million times. Well, that's nothing these days.
Well, it's a TikTok thing. It's a girl doing a video where she cries. I mean, what, you know.
Yeah, and she cries. She chokes back tears. And she says, I don't know how to say this, but I'm begging you guys, little dig in there, to stop being careless. Well, you know, you can't say that anymore. Guys,
bullshit. They've been trying to get guys out of there for a while. Personally, I use guys for guys and girls.
I'm with you.
Yeah.
I'm with you, but I'm just saying. What I'm saying is, you can see the.
I doubt she was so unwoke to have used the insulting terminology on purpose.
Insulting terminology.
That's right.
Then she says. Then she describes how overwhelmed the staff have been at her hospital. We have no ventilators for patients.
They're overwhelmed.
No sedating medications. None. No more.
None. She said no.
Yeah, that's right. None. Patients are dying like flies. We are full. We are at max capacity, and we have no resources. And we have no staff.
None.
Our doctors can't even intubate because they have like 40 patients each.
Like 40.
Yep. It's like
I'm surprised
40.
she didn't say, numbers like like sands covering the.
So anyway, the point is that she's what I'm wondering is, and there's some more stuff here. The record hospitalization could soon force the U.S. to ration care.
Fortunately, we flattened the curve earlier in the year.
That's right. We flattened the curve, and so number of patients is the highest it's ever been. At this rate, health experts, top people, warn some hospitals may have to ration nurses, respirators, and care.
Some hospitals may
have to, that's right. When you run out of capacity, physicians and bioethicists, okay? Here we are,
Ethicists.
Bioethicists.
These people are more moral than you are.
Well, you see,
they have a degree in morality.
They're going to need to decide which patients are salvageable.
Right, salvageable, like because they're trash.
Well, that's right, but this is a triage, is what it boils down to. I mean, when you look at this stuff,
how do they even go? It's like, how do they even go to work? People just dying.
Well, that's what she said, and so.
Oh wait, it's a hospital.
They have to decide which ones are salvageable.
They never had to do
potentially salvageable.
They never had to make decisions like that before.
No, right. And which patients aren't salvageable. So says a medical analyst, Dr. So-and-so said on Monday. Now, what I thought was interesting about this is one of the things that when you always see the triage in MASH, when they helicopter all, and they basically look and says this one's this one you don't bother to take this one to surgery.
That's it.
I mean, it's a dead person, and I understand, and that could be, I suppose, heartbreaking and so forth. But when you're talking about COVID, and you're saying don't bother to put this person on a respirator.
Well, I mean, I'm sure there is a point of no return. So, but my point, my counter.
I don't know. I mean, it's one thing if you have blood and guts every place.
Well, maybe that's what it is. I mean, who knows? The point is that my point, though, my counterpoint to their thing is this is what you always do.
Yeah.
This is called taking care of sick people.
Right.
I mean, they die sometimes. And like you said, you go through the triage. You make the call. You don't cry about it.
Where do most people die?
At the hospital.
At the hospital.
That's what I'm saying.
That's
she goes there every day, and her response is she's going to cry on TikTok about it.
Yeah.
You're going to cry about it. You want to call your mom?
Maybe, yeah. Maybe you should go get another job. I mean, seriously.
That's what I'm thinking. It's like, come on.
If you're gonna cry because somebody died, I can understand it if it's your son.
Yeah, exactly. But just randos off the street, like, how do you survive? That's what I'm asking. Is how does she survive a normal day at the hospital?
Obviously, she puts it on TikTok.
Yeah, right.
And people, and I don't know if she reads the comments, but that would be something to read. I sympathize with you. Pat on the back. You're doing the best you can.
That's right. You're a hero.
You're a hero, right?
That's right.
They're not paying you enough.
Yeah, well, for sure. I know. And that was one of the things, like, some guy came out and was like, how do you think the doctors feel? And I'm like, employed?
Yeah. Well, you think about it. You think about it. If you're a surgeon, there is no way. You have to be so disinterested in what you're doing.
Yeah.
No way can you care.
No,
I mean, you do your job, bang, and it died, and what's next?
That's it. I got to go to lunch.
Yeah. I mean, really, seriously.
You have to.
I think, and of course, I was lucky because when they wheeled me in for my double lung transplant,
it was wake up or not, right?
Yeah, exactly. In fact, I was on the phone.
Right.
As they're wheeling me in, I'm on the phone calling up a friend of mine, or I was texting actually. I was texting this ex-girlfriend or whatever, and I said, well, they're wheeling me in. Looks like they're gonna do my lungs or blah blah blah, whatever it was. Well, she didn't know.
These are my last words.
No, that's pretty much they're wheeling me in. Right. But it was funny because she didn't know what hospital I was at. So she called every hospital she could think of and see what's I should have told her where it was, but I mean, literally, I at that point I didn't care.
Well,
I couldn't care. I couldn't care because when they were getting ready to put me under, they said, "Well, let me tell you what's going to happen." I said, "Don't."
Seriously.
I don't give a shit. Do the best you can. Could we get moving with this?
That's it.
I mean, really, it was just that bad. I was, literally, I was within a week of being dead anyway. Anyway, now, let me go back. Who the World Health Organization.
Yeah.
Bigger pandemic than COVID is coming.
Right. Well, this actually we've been talking about since the beginning, or close to it, because this, as we talked like, about a month into this, everybody was like, "It's a 10% killer. It's a 10%."
Right.
Italy was suffering 10% numbers. Okay, that's a real virus.
Yeah.
And we're down
That's
at
Black Plague.
Well, no,
That was up to half.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
I mean,
right.
we're talking, and and there are worse ones. There are plenty of flus which are 60, 70%, 30%, stuff like that. So this is down in the point, we said Brussels, maybe 0.2%, apparently, and it's obviously going to be higher than that before it's all over. But nothing like 10%.
No.
So we could easily get a 10%er. I mean, that's just, we've had them before. Like, they're already out there. It's just
Depending
a question.
on where you are.
Right.
Of course.
I mean, but, it wouldn't take a couple of scientists taking a worldwide tour of some impoverished areas to check on the worst among us to become super spreaders for a new type of...
Boy, isn't that the truth?
I mean, and then bam, all of a sudden it is a 10% thing. And I wonder how people are going to respond next time. I mean, they blew all of their authority this time on this one.
They'll do it again.
No, I know they will.
They will. They're gonna.
But what I'm saying is, there'll be a lot more people. Will be a lot less.
The thing is, what they have to do is to
Compliance.
really ramp it up. This is the whole thing.
Right.
It has to do with the spending. It's one thing when you bail out Chrysler in 1980 for
Right.
$7 billion. Now you're bailing
What
out
could
banks.
possibly go wrong?
It could possibly, yeah. How could this possibly
Spin out of control.
Yeah, and so now they're literally
Trillions.
trillions at a time.
Yeah, no, it's the knobs ripped off.
And I just think it's so funny that one of the great quotes is from Everett Dirksen of Illinois 30 or 40 years ago, and somebody asked him about the debt or deficit, and he says, well, $1 billion here and $1 billion there, after a while it adds up to real money. Being sarcastic, of course. Now it's $1 trillion here and $1 trillion there, and nobody's thinking it's a lot of money.
No, well, obviously, since Chrysler, everybody has become numb to the concept of a government bailout. I mean, it worked.
Thank you, Iacocca.
That's it. As far as they were concerned, it worked. It worked for the next people, the ones after that. It worked in 2008. I mean, Obama came out and said, look, it worked. We gave him $800 billion to the bank, and whew, man, we saved
it.
Everything.
We saved the worldwide economic system.
That's right. That's right. By spending money.
That's it.
Why didn't we think of that before? Jesus. We had the press right there.
Yeah.
So now they're like, okay, we got it. We get it. Now all we have to do is spend. And they got the AOC crowd. All them are on board. They're like, just print it and spend it. What could possibly go wrong? They're too young to even remember the 70s inflation.
Yeah.
They don't even have that
They
concept.
weren't even born.
No, they weren't. No, she wasn't even born yet.
And what I'm blown about is that Bernie should remember that.
He should, but Bernie is so in the tank.
Yeah, no, I know that. I know that.
There should be other people. I mean, I presume Rand Paul and people like that are out there saying stuff about it, but obviously not having been there when the interest rates are just skyrocketing.
I was in the real estate business then. I mean, seriously, and I remember so well two things. One, Ms. Jimmy was moving into a new house, and she wanted a new. I think it was a new washing machine or a new. No, what? Yeah, maybe it was a new washing machine. Anyway, I went in to buy the washing machine, and they said it was whatever it was, $500, whatever it was, and but it came in two different colors. Now she happened to be in Massachusetts at the time, and so I had to call her because she's a decorator.
The color makes a difference.
Color makes. Oh, are you kidding? I mean, you have to understand.
Just pick one.
She has got extra cones in her eyes.
No, I know she's
Oh my gosh, she's unbelievable. I mean, she can see from infrared to ultra blue violet. So anyway, I like an idiot. I called to find out I went back Monday with whatever the color was. And they said the price literally had gone up by $100. It had gone up like 20% over the weekend, and that's inflation.
Yes.
And can't you crank it back? I was here Friday. No, sorry, these are our new prices.
That's it.
No sale for you, pal.
Right.
And so I mean, I remember, and of course that's when gold went from $60 to $800. It's a spiky thing, kind of like what Bitcoin's doing now. Although this was actual gold. But I remember it, and I remember the interest rates. One of the things back in the 70s, a veteran could get a a no down payment loan on a house. So you could walk up to a house that was, $30,000 or whatever, and you could get a no down payment, but the interest rate was 16%. Well, of course, this affected the price of the house. Once you realize that your payment was going to be $500 instead of $300, then you could only afford a lesser priced house, and the prices of houses dropped rather significantly at the time, what people were expecting to get. But people don't realize that there were people actually buying houses and taking on a 15% interest loan, 30 years.
For years. For a couple of years. I mean, how long did the interest rate last up there?
Well, it only lasted until about 82. So that was from 76 to 82.
Everybody who bought a house during those times.
Well, they refinanced.
Right.
They all refinanced.
Well,
That was the great refi. Yeah. I mean, nobody was waiting around. Same thing with the government debt. I mean, the fact is, at that point, you could walk into the bank and get a 90-day government debt that paid 12%, 13% bond. It was 90 days. And the way they did it, the way they do government debt, if you walk into the bank and get it, is they discount it up front. So what they do is they basically take $9,200 and then they give you back $10,000 or whatever. Well, that didn't last hardly any time because everybody was dumb. Everybody went in on that.
Right.
What the hell? You're talking about government
debt? They just
debt?
send you your money back, right?
Huh?
They just pay you off at that point.
They pay you off, right? And what you did is, of course, what you would do, you think that this is a lifetime sinecure, whatever it is, and so you'd walk back in there after 90 days, but at that point, the interest rates had dropped. So you weren't going to get the same money, and then after another 90 days, and the interest rates all came down, and by 1982 or 83, they dropped off rather significantly.
So why won't that happen this time around if they do the same thing?
Good question. Because what they're doing, the interest rates are supposed to have risen already. The 10-year note now is being oversubscribed at 0.8% return.
Okay.
Which, when you figure in inflation, is a negative return on your money. They're not even going to give you your money back. I mean, that's how bad it is. And so the question is, when are interest rates going to skyrocket? And to be honest with you, I'll have to do some math on this, but got to be sometime pretty soon. At some point, people are going to realize that, as they did in 1978, that if I come back on Monday, the price will be higher. And it's the same thing that happened in Germany in the Weimar Republic and in other places that have had what they call hyperinflation, which is hyperinflation is something like 50% a month or 50% a year, whatever it is. It's enough where people take the paycheck and literally spend it before they get home because they know the prices are going to be up by the time the next day. And that's when interest rates have to go up because you're not going to loan money to nobody's going to loan money to anybody. So it may turn out that the federal interest rate does something one way or the other. But anybody that's out here in the regular old market, if you're going to loan money to, Chrysler or to your buddy, if I'm going to loan money to my buddy next door here, I'm going to want 15%.
Yeah.
I'm going to see. I'd rather hang on to my money. It's just that. So we'll see what happens.
Well, when there's a cash crunch, if it ever happens, that would precipitate it. But of course, and if there's no cash crunch, well, then we get the inflation. So at some point, they'll have to decide between the cash crunch and the inflation.
The market will figure it out.
Right.
The market will figure it out as it did before.
Except they're going to distort the whole
Well, that's right. They've already distorted the market. Anyway, the WHO says, Dr. Mike Ryan said during the media, this pandemic has been very severe. It has affected every corner of the planet, but this is not necessarily the big one.
Yeah.
We're waiting for the big one. And it will never go away. Elsewhere during the briefing, he says that...
the plague is still out there too. So
right,
we were doing fine.
It does not mean social distancing or mask wearing can go away. You have to think on that. And he said he warned that restrictive lockdown measures won't let up until the end of 2021, when population immunity is achieved. Now, I'm sitting there thinking, wait a minute, which is it? We got a brand new virus coming down the pike. You're saying, hell, in Denver they have found one already. So is the vaccine going to cure that one too when it spreads? Because it's apparently if you get in the same room with somebody that has this thing, it spreads like crazy. And
Well, the only thing I can hope for about all this is maybe they will begin to streamline the medical system again and remove some of the barriers to service that are just everywhere. I mean, you can't buy healthcare in this country because there's too much government interference.
Yeah.
I mean, it's everywhere. I mean,
well, this is
it's
a classic
everywhere.
case of what the government gives you, the government takes away in spades.
Right.
I mean, they're the ones that will break your leg and say, here's a crutch.
And look, that's obviously what's happening. I mean, with the healthcare, but I'm just hoping maybe stuff like you hear about the Moderna vaccine was produced in January.
Yeah.
And then they made them go through trials for months and stuff. Why wouldn't they just let people take it and stuff like that? Doctors across borders and
There's supposed to be 2 or 3 more vaccines coming down the pike.
Yeah, I know.
So that'll be interesting.
Mm-hmm.
But what is interesting, of course, you talk about the barriers.
Mm-hmm.
Cuomo vows a vaccine fraud crackdown, and he warns of $1 million fines and revoked licenses. Now here's
Revoked licenses. So then we're going to put people out of business too.
Oh yeah, the doctors especially. New York health providers who fraudulently obtain or distribute coronavirus vaccines now risk fines of up to $1 million and revocation of their state licenses. His announcement came as state police are investing this one outfit called Pear Care or something, which has 5 locations, on allegations that it administered doses of the vaccine in violation of state guidelines. So here's the deal. You got people who want the vaccine, and they administered the vaccine, but it was in violation of the roadblocks that the state has put up there. So the fact is, you don't really, yes, you want the vaccine, and yes, it will help you, and yes, but you can't have it.
Right.
And so his announcement, so anyway, we want to send a clear signal to the providers that if you violate the law, you will be prosecuted. And whoever this guy Zucker has told reporters Monday, we provided them, I know what it was, we provided them the vaccine because they fraudulently filled out a form that said they were qualified. And that was incorrect. Says this is one of the enforcer people. He says that was strike 1. And number 2, they moved the vaccine from one area to another in violation of a rule, and that was strike 2. And then they gave it to people who were not on the priority list, and that was strike 3. So now we're prosecuting them. We have to go through the thing. You just sit there and you're thinking $1 million. Loss of licensing,
and you got to pay, and the citizens of the state get to pay for all that prosecution and the incarceration afterwards and all this stuff. If they just get the fuck out of the way and just let people, what you do is you suspend patents associated with all the healthcare products that people need right now, and you allow prices to float. That's it. You're done. Get out of the way, let people trade, let people buy stuff, let people get the stuff that they need for whatever it costs from whoever they want.
You.
I know that would be abdicating their role as protector. And if they did that, then people would see that we didn't actually need their assets anymore.
Thing.
And
that's the thing.
They would realize how superfluous the protection is that we're getting. Like we're going to get Joe Biden up there is gonna recommend to everybody that we wear masks for the next 3 months.
Right.
There's your protection.
It's 100 days.
Oh yeah, I say 3
You
3
said
weeks?
3 months.
Okay, well that's close to
No,
3
no,
months.
but see, you understand why I'm talking about 100 days. Doesn't sound that long. 3 months. I mean, I don't know which sounds worse, but yeah, you're right.
Either way, it's
No,
just,
because we got February and there was a short month.
yeah.
So anyway, okay, this is great though. I'm going to move on.
Okay, do it.
Lori Loughlin,
Yeah,
she got out.
yeah.
She's what they did though, in order to make sure that she could get, they put her 2 weeks in isolation.
Yeah.
Now you wonder, what was that? I mean,
Punishment.
Huh?
That was just fucking with her.
I know, but I mean,
That was just making her suffer.
Yeah, right.
No, it was.
Maybe, but what I'm wondering is, in isolation, was it a special cell?
Yeah, what they do is they have special isolated cells that they will put people in for their protection, quote
Okay.
unquote. And what'll happen is, like, for example, I had a client who had a nose ring that they couldn't pull out for whatever reason. They couldn't get it out. So they put her in the cell because they were afraid if she got in a fight with some other inmate, they would rip it out or something. But what they don't tell you is that isolation is the worst thing for humans. I mean, if they were to study the isolation chambers that they have in all of our jails and prisons, they would realize that that's where we torture people in the United States. I mean, we have maximum security prisons where people have 23 hours a day in a cell by themselves and 1 hour out. I mean, how the monkeys survive in that is...
They don't. And that's what they did.
It's torture to death.
Gitmo, they did that.
Right. It's what it is. It's torture to death. We do it all over the place, and this is one of the things that the captains of the jails, the captains and the sheriffs who run the jails, have power over the people that they put in there. What they threaten them with is this isolation stuff. And whenever two like rough inmates are going to get in a fight or do get in a fight, they put one of them. They call it the boot or the dungeon.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I mean, they have special names for it. Nobody wants to be there because it's horrifying. It's if you're not an introvert, it's death. I mean, it's death on a stick. You know, it's horrible. So this, to me, I would imagine. I mean, they said they separated her out for COVID purposes so that she could be quarantined or whatever. But I think, I mean, if I had to guess, and I do, I would say they just put her in there to fuck with her, just to teach her a lesson. You know, like, oh well, let's put the pretty girl in isolation for a while and see how she likes it. You know,
she didn't like it.
No, well, I'm sure she didn't.
She said it was a precaution and not a punishment.
Well, that's what they do. Well, then let me make the decision.
Yeah, right. So anyway, the two daughters picked the 22, age 21 and 22. They picked her up by private jet.
There you go.
So apparently, and now she has to complete 100 hours of community service.
To add insult to injury.
To add insult to. Now, do you think she's going to be out there with a pointy stick on the side of the road?
Well, they'll allow her to do something like speak to kids. She said disadvantaged kids. She's already done some of that. Whatever exactly. It is. But I mean, they got picked up in her private jet. Okay, I think I could put this behind me. Well, you know, Lizzie and I, hey Lizzie, we're going to start a luxury bail bond service, you know, where you get picked up in the limo with the hot tub.
Okay.
You get directly into the hot tub. We got champagne there, you know, the change of clothes, no problem right there. And then straight over to, you know, the gambling or whatever, you know, something like that.
Your drug dealer.
That's right. Your drug dealer, your bar. We stop at all the places.
That's it.
And you know.
No, that would be great. Yeah.
$10,000.
Yeah, that would be good. Yeah, no problem. So that's great. Anyway, but it's good to see her out because of the.
Well, thank God they stopped those girls from getting into college.
Yeah, that's. I mean,
that's all we can.
Yeah,
you know, thank God the system prevented those girls from college.
That's right.
That's what we have to thank.
Probably a good thing.
The silver lining.
The silver lining. Actually, probably a good thing these days.
Oh yeah. It probably is a good thing. It probably saved the kids.
I mean, seriously.
It probably saved the kids from going into $200,000 in debt. Not that they're going to have to worry about that anyway. But and of course getting a shit bag of an education.
I mean they're going to
misled all over the place.
All social
and now
distancing.
They get to work and be contributing members of society and do their own online education and stuff.
Totally. You know they can sell. You know, stuff for their face and
seriously
or whatever. No, seriously.
Millions of dollars.
Can you imagine when you go into Harvard today, for instance, in a regular? I'm not about Harvard law or anything necessarily, but when you have the social justice people all doing this, you know, the costumes for Halloween, on and on and on, the horror stories coming out of there, and I think. I
feel like I would get expelled pretty quick.
Oh, I would be instantaneously.
You know,
I would have been instantaneously.
I can't. I mean, write one article about something.
I wonder if I would have been expelled. One of the things we used to do that was kind of fun. My first semi-year in college, which I flunked out of, but it was for a good reason. But you know, when you would run out in the middle run out in the middle of the quad or whatever it is, and pull your pants down and give everybody the
moon,
the big moon. Here you go, moon. Would you have been kicked out for that? I don't know.
No, not that. But you misgendered somebody or something.
That's true, yeah.
I mean that kind of stuff. I would be like, what the hell?
If you show them your butt, you got to be careful that you only show them your butthole, because if you show them the other one, that's a gender type thing. Or, so you wouldn't want to turn around in the front, because then you would be
identifying yourself.
You'd be you'd be showing your masculinity, which is a bad thing. Okay, forget it.
Toxic.
Okay, moving on. Mm-hmm. The new U.S. This is not something you all want to take advantage of.
Okay.
The new U.S. Dietary guidelines reject recommendation to cut sugar and alcohol.
Really?
So, and needless to say, this is from the sugar industry and the alcohol industry.
Needless to say.
They were, but one of the things that you do every 5 years, the dietary guidelines, U.S. dietary guidelines, they reevaluate.
Right.
Now,
New science.
This is science, right?
Right.
Now, we've all seen the food pyramid.
Yeah.
Which literally has been inverted since I saw it.
Yeah.
Because when I saw it, the first thing you had in the morning was breakfast cereal.
Right. It was grains and
grains and everything. Well, of course, then it was like Cheerios and wheat flakes or something, or shredded wheat.
Bread was like a big loaf of bread.
Big loaf
right
that's
there.
Right. Hell, we had a bread man come to the front door 2 times a week to sell us bread. And by the way, sweets, that kind of stuff. But the point being that the dietary guidelines change. So now, even though the scientific advisory committee had advised lower limits on sugar and alcohol, citing health risks, but the U.S. dietary people said, no, we don't care what the science says.
Well, look, the diet. There's been a giant fight over the diet science for the last 30 years now.
Oh yeah,
it's gone back and forth.
Oh yeah,
the Atkins people versus the paleo people, and and everybody swears by their thing and swears if you do the other guys, you're gonna fucking die. If you go vegan, you're gonna die. Or if you go paleo, you're just gonna keel over. I mean, from different purposes, different things, obviously.
Well, one of the things is the one nice thing you can tell that the free market is at work here. Do you know how you can tell?
How?
Go into the bookstore and go to the diet section.
Right.
The diet. Yeah. Everything you would ever want.
Right.
I mean, everything.
Right. And then go to the grocery store, and it's every type of thing.
Every type. We have organic shelves now that have just in the last year have sprung up here at Publix, and so you can have just about anything you want, and that's what the market does. I think it's great. So, but I thought that what the problem is. The United States dietary guidelines, unfortunately, they shape school lunch programs and local health promotion efforts and influence what food companies produce. Mm-hmm. So because you want to be
providing giant contracts,
whatever. Well, no, that also. But I mean, basically, what's on the SNAP program, and that kind of stuff. If it qualifies, the government has their heavy hand in this all the time, and so what they say on the guidelines affects what you eat and what you don't eat and so forth.
Science,
and it's science, and the science has been. They said, screw the science. That's the whole point. The scientific advisory committee had made advice, and they said, we don't care. Mm-hmm. So,
well, look, I mean, centralized schools may be the worst thing that we do.
Oh, there's no question. There's no question. And of course, what's fascinating is it used to be the neighborhood school, and even in this here in Alachua County, we used to have schools it was divided up in Alachua County. There was school districts. And we still have school districts, but it's still centrally done. It is now centrally done, and on the buses it'll say the Alachua School District.
Yeah, and not only that, but the curriculum's decided by the state.
Yeah,
I mean, you can't make a suggestion to a teacher or a principal or a school. What are you thinking?
Well, I did that.
You go to Tallahassee. You want to make a change in your kid's curriculum? Vote somebody else in.
Yeah, a couple of years from now.
That's it.
And of course, what we did is we just had. Interestingly enough, we just had a school board election here, and it flipped. I'm not going to go into any great detail about it yet because I'm going to wait to see what the outcome is.
We got to do a big expose on the school thing at some point.
So the last thing I've got here, right at the end, has to do with the Georgia runoff.
Ah, okay. Well, I had us in Georgia. Keep going.
Okay, Georgia runoff will likely see delayed results, litigation, and other drama. Thanks to the landslide of absentee voting and a near-record turnout, the special election between the Democrats and the GOP senators will likely drag on for days, if not weeks, according to Bloomberg. Meanwhile, Stacey Abrams' sister,
Yeah.
happens to be a judge.
Yeah.
And she ordered that 2 Georgia counties reverse their decision to remove 4,000 likely ineligible voters from the rolls. So, no collusion there or anything. She's a judge. And but I just thought it's interesting. If you think that we're going to know who the new senators are on January 6th, think again, pal.
Well, I'm still thinking this whole thing will be wrapped up by January 20th.
Yeah.
And so until then, I will hold my breath and wait and see.
Don't turn blue.
Yeah, it's going to be a long thing. All right, I got a couple things real quick. Did you notice that the people were going after Trump because he pardoned those people?
Yes.
Yeah. And their complaint was that those people were guilty.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sorry. What other kind of people do you pardon?
No other kind.
I mean, well, I'm sorry. You've got some non-guilty.
These were the rat bastard guilty people, and I'm like, yeah, that's
who
all
you pardon.
That's all you can pardon.
I mean, when you think about it, the governors, of course, interestingly enough, when the guy's sitting on the thing with the
death
needles,
row.
yeah, and
it's
I got a call from the governor.
Yeah, now, in their defense, that's usually just
a delay.
Well, or a foregoing of the death. They still spend the rest of their life in prison. It's not like they get out or anything.
No, that's okay.
So and you can do
they
it
get
different
a pardon
levels.
from life eternity.
Well, right, yeah. I mean, it's
from immediately going into the eternal dirt nap.
It's just still okay. Now, the big news this week internationally: Britain escaped Brussels.
Yes.
Ba-bam.
Ba-bam.
Apparently, Boris pulls it off.
Yeah.
And so, sort of, we're in the first few days here, and
it's apparently there's still some stuff to do.
Yeah.
But yeah, they are now ostensibly on their own, which
does
as
this
far as I'm
represent
concerned,
the
is
first time?
fabulous.
Does this represent the first time that a nation state has peacefully withdrawn from its military and financial ties with another nation state without a civil war?
Right. Or without exactly.
They did it by a vote,
Yeah. That's it gives.
And Brussels let them. Now maybe Brussels doesn't have a bunch of military to throw at them or something. I don't know.
Well, I don't know. They call on. I don't know what they do. But the interesting part, of course, is that it gives some hope to the Italians and the Irish and some other people that might not want to stay in the EU.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, to know a little bit about it, Britain had not entirely been in the EU.
Right, they
had
kept
their own money.
Yeah.
They kept their own money, right. So now the Swedes, I don't think, are in the EU, are they?
Well, there's the economic union, and then there's the commercial union. There's three.
They have their own money, though.
Yeah, they do. They kept their
still have their krona.
Mm-hmm. So, all right. Well, anyway, that's interesting. Detroit sues BLM. Did you see that?
Black Lives Matter?
Yeah.
Okay, it's not another company. It's not.
No. It's just kind of interesting that they're going after them for the disruption and stuff.
And who actually are they going to sue?
There's a company that has $500 million at this point in money that's been donated to BLM, and that's what they're going after.
$500 million? I'm in.
That's it.
Hell yeah.
That's it.
Drop them papers.
That's it. Okay. Okay, now, real quick, I want to do a Science of the Year update. Just because we got. So, okay, now the first thing is a little debunking science.
Okay.
They said that they found a Goldilocks Earth out there. I don't know if you've seen the recent astronomy news.
12 light years away.
Well, I don't know if it's that close, but it was the right distance from the right kind of a star and the right mass of a planet. But they said it would have to be too cold because the sun that it's around is not, it's like 10% or 20% of our sun in terms of its luminosity and heat and stuff. But here's the thing. I don't think they took into account the CO2 concentration on that planet. Because we all know.
We all know.
Just a little bit extra CO2 can make the whole planet warm up.
It'll be like Venus.
That's what I'm saying.
It could be like Venus.
So,
not only that, and of course, then you have to ask, where did it come from? That means it was inhabited. And the cars all spewed out the stuff, and the people were too stupid to,
I mean, maybe it's still inhabited. I don't know. But all I'm saying is that I don't think you can rule out the warmth of the planet without knowing the CO2 content of the atmosphere. That doesn't make any sense in today's current technology awareness level, right?
Yeah, you're right. That's exactly right. But the other thing is, it's 12 light years away. So even at the speed of light,
it'll take days.
Well, you might actually, if you're in the vessel and you're at 0.995 of the speed of light, then it still takes, like, I don't know, it doesn't. As it gets closer to the speed of light, it's not linear. It's non-linear, and that is, it still could take a year. Something.
Okay. All right. Now they did reformulate the Drake equation recently, which is the one that predicts civilizations in the universe.
10 variables.
You're jumping ahead.
Okay.
Here's the thing. This is scientists coming up, and they determined in their infinite wisdom, with all their math and everything, that there are dozens of civilizations in our galaxy.
Yes.
Okay. Not hundreds, not single digits, not one, but dozens. And as you pointed out, the number of variables in this equation is ridiculous.
Right.
And I mean, and the variability, like, since we only have one example of intelligent life.
Right.
So,
well, let's not get carried away.
yeah, right, exactly.
Talking about Earth.
But here's the thing. Even if you want to count that as an example, that's only one. And so it's real hard to get a statistical mathematical projection.
You can't even use student's T. Student's T is when you it's fewer than 30 examples.
Right.
So that's you can come up with a curve.
That's right.
But one.
No. I'm sorry.
Wait till
Statistics does not work.
Wait till they find a microbe on Mars.
Oh, right, exactly. That's what it'll be. Well, then that's two at least, Okay. And then you're right. And then they'll use students' T all day long to tell us exactly how many civilizations.
Well, there was another one that they're talking about. When you think about it, it doesn't take you too much math to figure out when they're seriously. Some of these places are 50 or 100 light years away, and do they still exist? When you figure that how long it took the light to get here, does whatever life was there, is it still there?
Right.
Probably. When you look at the extinction level on this planet, we've had like 5 or 6 major mass extinctions since.
We could totally get a message and then go there, and then everybody's dead.
Well, of course, that's what happened. That's one of the greatest movies on the planet.
Forbidden Planet.
Forbidden Planet. Now, this is one you have to see. That is exactly.
Now, speaking of the microbe on Mars, they did find phosphenes on Venus.
Yes.
Which apparently is a molecule on Earth that is only associated with life.
Okay.
So
this is up in the clouds, maybe.
Yeah.
It's not. I thought it was interesting that the only been the Russian things that have actually landed on the planet and taken a couple of pictures.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, one of them lasted for 13 or 10 minutes or something, and the other was like a couple of hours. But I mean, the pressure is like being at the bottom of the ocean.
Right.
So it's got to be pretty
heat and everything.
And the heat. Oh yeah. I mean, 800 degrees Fahrenheit or Celsius or something. And but I mean, to even last for an hour or something, you got to realize and send stuff back. I mean, and I just thought the pictures were fantastic because it's rocky and everything. Okay.
Cool. All right. Also, interesting story. 17 people's footprints found in the mud in Africa. They found thousands of years old. A whole bunch of footprints, and it's like a tribe of people walking through, and the footprints lasted for thousands of years.
Okay.
It was just kind of cool, and it just showed humans getting together or whatever. But also, okay, and then the second to last thing, 20 seconds of fusion in the South Korean reactor.
Whoa! 20 seconds.
Apparently.
That is huge.
I mean, it is.
I mean, because it's been 20 milliseconds.
Exactly. 20 seconds at 180 million degrees.
Jesus, that's hot.
Yes.
Toasty.
Yes. And so, I mean, that's potential. But the number one thing, this is absolutely mind-blowing. They have found a way to inject nanobots into the brains of mice. Oh no, did I not label it? Oh, shoot. Okay, well, I'm just going to tell you about it then. They've injected nanobots into the brains of mice, which gives the mice heat vision. Yes, and the mice had the heat vision for days, apparently.
Yeah. And
were able to use it just like regular vision. So, I mean, we're talking about real integration of technology.
Man, now how would you test that? I guess what you do is you put together the mouse maze,
right?
and you put little hot spots.
Exactly.
Okay.
And then they could see them.
Yeah.
And
cool.
And of course, I mean, it's not a big. Once you got it it's not a big leap to go from a mouse brain to a human brain for something like that.
Not for not people in Congress.
For a lot of us. But no, it really, I mean, it would not surprise me to see that technology in the military within the next few years.
Oh, cool.
Night vision soldiers.
Well, I like the part, one thing, when you see the vision stuff, of course, when you see the Terminator, or whatever, and you see the calculations.
Yeah, the readouts and everything.
The readouts. I mean, it's so funny because he's looking at this guy. Is this the right size? God, was cool.
Yeah, that was great. But yeah, so that's it. So that's that. All right. That's all I got. So. All right. Hey, thanks for listening, everybody. We appreciate it. Hope you had a little fun.
I did.
Good. This is our copyright notice for Kevin MacLeod for all these cool tracks we got. And here is our Bitcoin QR code, in case you're feeling generous.
Yeah, Happy New Year.
Yeah, Happy New Year.
No, we will be back until after the New Year, right? Yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
So we'll be back next year.
Yeah. So, see ya.
We ought to put that QR code up at the beginning of the show, too.
Yeah, one of these days. Put it up as our thumbnail.
Yeah.